Welcome back to my channel, The World of the United States Roosevelt One Dime, United States. The United States Roosevelt Dime is a small yet powerful coin worth 10 cents but rich in history and meaning. First introduced in 1946, this coin honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a great leader who guided America through challenging times. Though it may seem like just an ordinary coin, the Roosevelt dime carries a legacy of strength, hope, and resilience. From everyday use to rare collectible treasures, these coins can sometimes hold surprising value, especially if they feature unique mint marks, errors, or special conditions. Whether you are a collector, a learner, or simply curious, welcome to the fascinating journey of discovering the hidden stories. The next up, top 2. The 1984 United States Roosevelt dime may look like a small, ordinary coin at first glance, but behind its modest appearance lies a fascinating story that captures the imagination of collectors around the world. Many people dream that a simple coin in their pocket could secretly be worth a fortune, and while most 1984 dimes are common, a few rare variations in unique conditions have turned certain pieces into highly sought-after treasures. The Roosevelt dime series itself began in 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. By 1984, the coin had already been in circulation for decades, becoming a familiar part of everyday American life. The design, featuring Roosevelt's profile on the front and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, remained unchanged, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The 1984 dime with the P mint mark was produced in Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most important mints in the United States. Interestingly, 1984 was part of a period when billions of dimes were struck, making most examples very common. This is why, in circulated and worn condition, a typical 1984 P dime is usually worth only its face value, just 10 cents. However, what turns an ordinary coin into an extraordinary one is not just its year or mint mark, but the presence of rare errors, unusual striking characteristics, or exceptional preservation. In the world of coin collecting, even a tiny difference can mean the difference between a coin worth cents and one worth thousands. Some 1984 dimes have been discovered with striking errors such as off-center designs, double strikes, or missing details. These errors occur during the minting process and are often extremely rare. A dramatic error can capture the attention of collectors, pushing the value far beyond what anyone might expect from such a small coin. Another important factor is the coin's condition. Most circulated dimes from 1984 show signs of wear, scratches, fatting, and dull surfaces. But if a coin somehow avoided circulation and remained in near-perfect condition, known as mint state, its value increases significantly. High-grade examples with sharp details and brilliant luster can be surprisingly valuable. There is also the intriguing possibility of transitional errors or composition anomalies. By 1984, dimes were made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, not pure silver. But collectors always remain alert for unusual metal variations, as such discoveries in other years have created legendary coins worth massive sums. Despite many exaggerated claims circulating online, it is important to understand the reality. A standard 1984 P dime in worn condition will not make someone a millionaire overnight. The idea of becoming instantly rich from a common coin is more fantasy than fact. Yet the excitement comes from the possibility, the rare chance that one coin might be different. Collectors often spend years searching through rolls of coins, hoping to find that one special piece. This process, known as coin roll hunting, is both a hobby and a treasure hunt. Every dime examined carries a tiny spark of hope, a question: could this be the rare one? The historical context of 1984 also adds subtle interest. This was a time of economic change and technological growth in the United States. Coins from this era passed through millions of hands, witnessing everyday transactions from small purchases to significant exchanges. Even in worn condition, a 1984 dime carries history. Each scratch and mark tells a story of its journey through pockets, cash registers, and across cities. It becomes more than just money, it becomes a silent witness to countless human moments. For serious collectors, authentication and grading are essential. Professional grading services carefully examine coins, assigning them a grade that reflects their condition. A high-grade 1984 dime, especially with an error, could sell for a significant amount at auction. The market for coins is driven by rarity, demand, and condition. Even if only a handful of unusual 1984 dimes exist, collectors who desire them can drive prices upward. This is how certain coins once overlooked become valuable over time. It is also important to separate myths from reality. Stories claiming that any 1984 dime is worth millions are misleading. True million-dollar coins are extremely rare and usually well documented. However, valuable coins do exist, they are simply much harder to find. That said, the emotional value of discovering a rare coin cannot be measured in money alone. The thrill, the excitement, and the sense of uncovering something hidden are what keep collectors engaged and passionate. If you have a 1984 Roosevelt dime, it is still worth examining closely. Look for unusual features, misaligned designs, doubled letters, or anything that looks different from a normal coin. Sometimes, the smallest detail can hold surprising value. Using a magnifying glass or even a simple phone camera can help reveal details that are not visible to the naked eye. Many discoveries begin with simple curiosity and careful observation. Even if your coin turns out to be common, the process of learning about it adds knowledge and appreciation. Every collector starts somewhere, often with ordinary coins that spark an extraordinary interest. Over time, as you learn more about minting errors, grading standards, and coin history, your ability to spot valuable pieces improves. What once looked like an ordinary dime may begin to reveal hidden complexity. The 1984 Roosevelt dime may not usually be a ticket to instant wealth, but it represents something more meaningful, the possibility of discovery. It reminds us that value is not always obvious and that sometimes treasures hide in plain sight. In the end, whether your 1984 dime is worth 10 cents or much more, it carries a story, a history, and a connection to the past. And for those who continue to search, that possibility, the dream of finding something truly rare, is what makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating. The next up, top 3, the story of the 1996 Roosevelt dime begins quietly, almost invisibly, in the long-running legacy of American coinage. The United States Mint had already been producing the Roosevelt dime for decades, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president whose leadership during difficult times left a permanent mark on history. By 1996, billions of these small silver-colored coins had already passed through hands, pockets, and registers, making them seem ordinary, almost too ordinary to notice. Yet within this ordinary appearance lies the fascination that collectors chase. A 1996 dime with a P mint mark struck in Philadelphia is not rare by mintage numbers alone. Millions were produced and most entered circulation immediately. These coins were meant to be used, not admired, and over time they became worn, scratched, and dulled, especially in everyday use across the United States. In worn condition, a typical 1996 P Roosevelt dime holds only face value or slightly above. Its metallic composition, primarily copper with a nickel coating, reveals itself along the edges when the coin becomes worn. That copper-colored edge you mentioned is completely normal and not a sign of hidden treasure by itself, but rather a sign of the coin's layered construction. However, the real excitement begins when we move beyond the ordinary and step into the world of rare variations and minting errors. Collectors know that sometimes, by accident, the mint produces coins with mistakes, tiny imperfections that transform a common coin into something extraordinary. These are the coins that ignite dreams of sudden fortune. A genuine 1996 dime worth a fortune would not simply be worn, it would carry a unique error. This could include an off-center strike, a doubled design, or a planchet mistake. These errors are rare because the mint's quality control is strict, and most flawed coins never reach circulation. When they do, they become highly desirable among collectors. There's also a special category tied to 1996, the West Point issue. In that year, the United States Mint released a special 1996 W. Roosevelt dime as part of a collector set. This coin was never intended for circulation, making it far more limited. While not worth millions, it is significantly more valuable than a regular dime and represents a key date for collectors. Still, the idea that a regular 1996 P dime could make someone a billionaire overnight is more fantasy than reality. Coin collecting does offer life-changing discoveries, but these are extremely rare and usually tied to unique historical errors or one-of-a-kind specimens. A normal circulated coin, even from an older year, rarely reaches extreme values. The condition of a coin plays a powerful role in its value. A heavily worn dime loses much of its detail. The torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse become faint, and Roosevelt's portrait softens. In this state, collectors typically see it as common unless something unusual stands out. But imagine holding a coin that appears slightly different, perhaps the letters look doubled or the rim seems uneven. That moment of curiosity is what drives collectors to examine coins under magnification. Many valuable discoveries have started with a simple question: why does this look different? The copper edge you described is not an error but a feature of modern dimes. Since 1965, U.S. dimes have been made with a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers. As the outer layer wears down, the copper becomes visible, creating that distinct reddish line on the edge. True high-value coins often have a story, something that sets them apart in a way that cannot be easily repeated. For example, a dramatic mint error or a coin struck on the wrong metal planchet could command hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and demand. Collectors also look for coins in uncirculated or near-perfect condition. These coins, graded by professionals, can be worth much more than worn examples. A 1996 P dime in pristine condition might fetch a premium but still not anywhere near millions. The world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is filled with both excitement and realism. While stories of million-dollar coins exist, they are tied to extremely rare historical pieces, often unique or nearly unique in existence. It is important to separate hope from hype. Many exaggerated claims circulate about common coins being worth fortunes, but experienced collectors rely on verified rarity, condition, and demand. Without these factors, even an old coin remains just a coin. Still, the thrill of possibility keeps people searching. Every coin you examine carries a small chance of being something special. This sense of discovery is what makes coin collecting so addictive and rewarding. If you truly believe your 1996 dime is unusual, the best step is careful inspection. Look closely at the details, compare it with known examples, and consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Even if it turns out to be a common piece, it still holds historical value. It represents a moment in time, a small piece of the economic life of a nation, and a connection to millions of transactions and stories. The dream of overnight wealth is powerful, but the real reward in coin collecting often comes from knowledge, patience, and discovery. Understanding what makes a coin valuable is more important than chasing unrealistic expectations. In rare cases, people have found valuable coins in circulation, and those stories continue to inspire. But they are exceptions, not the rule, and they usually involve very specific and well-documented errors. Your 1996 P Roosevelt dime, especially in worn condition with a visible copper edge, is most likely a normal circulated coin. Its value is modest, but its story can still be meaningful if you choose to explore the hobby further. In the end, every coin has two values, one measured in money and another measured in curiosity and history. While it may not turn you into a billionaire overnight, it could be the beginning of a journey into a fascinating world where even the smallest details matter. The next up top for the 1995 United States Roosevelt Dime is a small silver-colored coin that many people overlook in their daily lives, yet it carries a quiet history and a hidden fascination that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. At first glance, it may appear to be just another ordinary coin passing through hands in markets and shops, but within certain rare conditions, it can become something far more intriguing and valuable. When we talk about a 1995 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark, we are referring to coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins were struck in large numbers, which is why most of them are still very common today. In worn or circulated condition, they typically do not carry high monetary value. However, what transforms an ordinary coin into a potentially valuable one is not just its year or mint mark, but the presence of rare errors, unusual features, or exceptional preservation. A normal 1995 dime is made from a copper core with a nickel coating, which means if you look closely at the edge, you may notice a slight copper color line. This is completely normal and does not automatically make the coin rare. Many people misunderstand this feature and assume it is something special, but in reality, it is part of the standard composition used in modern dimes. However, the excitement begins when collectors start searching for minting errors. A 1995 Roosevelt dime with a strong error, such as a double strike, off-center strike, or missing clad layer, can become significantly more valuable. These errors happen during the minting process and are not intentional, making them rare and desirable among collectors. One of the most talked about possibilities is the missing clad layer error. In such a case, the outer nickel layer is partially or completely missing, revealing more of the copper core underneath. This gives the coin an unusual appearance, often darker or reddish in tone. Coins with this kind of error can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition. Another important factor is the condition of the coin. A worn coin that has been used in circulation for years will naturally have scratches, faded details, and reduced sharpness. While this lowers its value in most cases, even a worn coin can still be valuable if it carries a rare and clear mint error. Collectors also pay close attention to the sharpness of the design. The portrait of Roosevelt, the lettering, and the torch on the reverse side all provide clues about how well the coin was struck. A coin with strong details and minimal wear is always more desirable than one that is heavily worn down. There is also the possibility of doubled die errors. These occur when the design is accidentally imprinted twice during the minting process, creating a slightly doubled appearance in the letters or numbers. On a 1995 dime, this might be seen in the date or inscriptions. Such coins can attract serious collectors and bring higher prices. It is important to understand that not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Sometimes dirt, damage, or environmental effects can make a coin look different, but these do not add value. True collectors look for authentic mint errors that occurred during production, not after the coin left the mint. The idea that a 1995 dime could be worth millions of dollars is extremely unlikely. While there are coins in history that have sold for millions, those are usually extremely rare, often one-of-a-kind pieces with historical importance. A standard 1995 Roosevelt dime, even with errors, typically does not reach that level. That said, there have been cases where rare error coins from modern years have sold for impressive amounts. Some high-grade error dimes have reached into the thousands of dollars, especially when they are certified and authenticated by professional grading services. Authentication plays a crucial role in determining value. If you believe you have a rare 1995 dime, it is important to have it examined by an expert. Professional grading companies can confirm whether the coin has a genuine mint error and assign it a grade based on its condition. The market for coins is driven by collectors, and demand can change over time. What may not seem valuable today could become more desirable in the future, especially if collectors begin to focus on certain types of errors or specific years. Many people dream of finding a rare coin in their pocket change, and while it is possible, it requires patience, knowledge, and a bit of luck. Most coins in circulation are common, but hidden among them could be something special waiting to be discovered. The story of coin collecting is not just about money, it is also about history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of the hunt. Each coin carries a story of where it has been and how it was made, and for collectors, that story is just as important as its value. If you have a 1995 Roosevelt dime, take a closer look at it. Examine its edges, its surface, and its details. Look for anything unusual, such as missing layers, doubling, or strange marks that seem different from normal wear. Even if your coin turns out to be common, the process of learning about it adds to your knowledge and appreciation of coins. And if by chance you do find a rare error, it could turn an ordinary coin into something truly exciting. It is always wise not to rush into selling a coin without understanding its value. Some people unknowingly sell rare coins for very low prices simply because they do not realize what they have. Taking the time to research and consult experts can make a big difference. In the end, while the 1995 Roosevelt dime is generally a common coin, certain rare variations and errors can make it valuable. It may not instantly make someone a billionaire overnight, but it can still hold surprising worth under the right conditions. The real power of such a coin lies not just in its price, but in the curiosity and passion it inspires. It reminds us that even the smallest and most ordinary objects can sometimes carry hidden value, waiting for the right person to recognize it. The next up, top 5, the 1966 Roosevelt dime, a hidden story of value and mystery. The 1966 United States Roosevelt dime may look like just another small silver-colored coin in your pocket, but behind its simple appearance lies a story that continues to fascinate collectors and dreamers alike. Many people pass over this coin without a second thought, not realizing that certain rare variations and conditions can make it far more valuable than its face value. This particular year is unique because 1966 dimes were struck during a time when the United States Mint removed mint marks from coins. That means every genuine 1966 Roosevelt dime appears without a mint mark, making it different from earlier and later years. For collectors, this creates a sense of mystery, because identifying rare pieces depends more on subtle features rather than obvious markings. The coin itself features President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, a tribute to his leadership and legacy. On the reverse side, you will find a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. While millions of these coins were produced, not all of them are created equal in the eyes of collectors. In circulated or worn condition, a typical 1966 dime is generally worth only slightly more than its face value. However, what makes this coin exciting is not the ordinary examples, but the rare errors and unusual characteristics that can turn a simple coin into something extraordinary. One of the most talked about features is the copper-colored edge. Unlike older dimes made of pure silver, the 1966 dime is clad, meaning it has a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel. When the coin is worn, the copper edge becomes visible, giving it a distinct appearance that many people notice. For most coins, this copper edge is completely normal and does not add much value. However, in rare cases where the coin has unusual minting errors such as missing clad layers or off-center strikes, the value can increase dramatically. These rare pieces are the ones collectors search for tirelessly. There have been instances where error coins from the 1960s have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their uniqueness and condition. While it is extremely rare, such stories fuel the excitement that any ordinary-looking coin could hold hidden wealth. Condition plays a crucial role in determining value. A worn 1966 dime may show scratches, fatting details, and dull surfaces. But even in this condition, certain rare errors can still make the coin desirable. Collectors often look beyond surface wear and focus on unusual characteristics. The dream of finding a coin worth millions overnight is powerful, but it is important to stay grounded. While no standard 1966 Roosevelt dime has sold for millions, extremely rare error coins in the broader coin market have reached astonishing prices, which keeps hope alive for collectors everywhere. Another factor that adds intrigue is the historical context. The mid-1960s were a time of change in U.S. coinage, as silver was removed from circulating coins due to rising metal prices. This transition period created opportunities for unusual minting mistakes. Collectors often use magnifying tools to inspect coins closely. Tiny details such as doubling in the lettering, unusual thickness, or irregular edges can indicate a rare variety. These small differences can turn an ordinary coin into a prized collectible. It is also important to understand that value depends on demand. Even a rare coin must have interested buyers to reach a high price. Auctions and collector markets play a major role in determining how much a coin is worth at any given time. Many beginners believe that every old coin is valuable, but the truth is more complex. Age alone does not guarantee value. Rarity, condition, and uniqueness are the real drivers behind high prices in the coin world. Still, the excitement of searching through coins is part of the journey. The idea that a small piece of metal could change your financial future adds a thrill that few hobbies can match. It turns everyday objects into potential treasures. Professional grading services can help determine the true value of a coin. They assess condition, authenticity, and rarity, providing a clear understanding of what a coin is worth in the market. If you believe you have a special 1966 dime, it is wise to preserve it carefully. Avoid cleaning it, as this can reduce its value. Store it in a protective holder to maintain its condition over time. The market for collectible coins continues to grow, with new collectors entering every year. This ongoing interest helps sustain the value of rare coins and keeps the dream alive for those searching for hidden gems. Stories of valuable coins often spread quickly, sometimes exaggerated into tales of overnight millionaires. While these stories capture attention, it is important to separate reality from fantasy and focus on genuine collecting knowledge. Even if your 1966 dime is not worth a fortune, it still holds historical and sentimental value. It represents a specific moment in time and connects you to the past in a tangible way. For many collectors, the true reward is not just money but the joy of discovery. Finding a unique coin, learning its story, and adding it to a collection brings satisfaction that goes beyond financial gain. The 1966 Roosevelt dime reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes, the smallest objects carry the greatest stories, waiting to be uncovered by those who take the time to look closely. So before you spend that old dime, take a moment to examine it. You may not become a billionaire overnight, but you might discover something far more meaningful, a connection to history and the thrill of possibility. The next up, top 6 1983 Roosevelt Dime, the truth behind the $1 million dream. The 1983 United States Roosevelt Dime is a coin that often sparks excitement, curiosity, and sometimes wild rumors about hidden fortunes. Many people believe that certain ordinary-looking dimes from this year could secretly be worth millions, especially if they appear unusual or worn. But the real story is more grounded, and understanding it properly can help you avoid false hopes while still recognizing genuine value. First, it's important to understand what this coin actually is. The 1983 Roosevelt dime was produced as part of the standard U.S. coinage system and features the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front. On the reverse, you'll see the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. The D mint mark on your coin means it was minted in Denver. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck that year, making them very common in circulation. Because of this high production, most 1983 D dimes are not rare in general. Now let's talk about the condition you mentioned, good and worn. A circulated worn 1983 D dime typically shows smoothing on Roosevelt's hair, less detail on the torch, and an overall dull appearance. In this condition, the coin usually holds only its face value, 10 cents, or slightly more to collectors, perhaps a few rupees equivalent. One detail you mentioned is very interesting, a copper side. Many people think that if they see copper on the edge, it means the coin is rare or extremely valuable. However, this is actually normal. Roosevelt dimes after 1965 are made of a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers, so the edge often shows a copper-colored line. This means that seeing copper on the side of a 1983 dime does not make it rare or valuable. It is simply how the coin was manufactured. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings that leads people to believe they have found a treasure. However, that does not mean all 1983 dimes are worthless. Some can indeed be valuable, but only under very specific circumstances. The most important factor is whether the coin has a rare error or is in extremely high condition. One of the most talked about varieties is the 1983 no mint mark dime. Normally, Philadelphia minted coins from that era should have a P mint mark, but a small number were mistakenly struck without it. These coins are genuinely rare and can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. Another possibility is a mint error, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or missing design elements. These errors are rare because quality control at the mint is usually very strict. If you happen to find such an error, your coin could be worth significantly more than normal. Condition also plays a huge role. Coins that were never circulated, called mint state, can be valuable, especially if they are graded highly by professional grading services. A perfect or near-perfect 1983 dime could be worth tens or even hundreds of dollars to serious collectors. But here is the honest truth. There is no known 1983 Roosevelt dime in worn condition that is worth millions of dollars. Claims like this coin will make you a billionaire overnight are exaggerated and not supported by real numismatic history. That said, the excitement of coin collecting is real. Even a small chance of finding a rare error keeps collectors searching through old coins, jars, and collections. It's like a treasure hunt where knowledge is your most powerful tool. If you believe your coin might be special, examine it carefully under good light. Look for unusual features, missing letters, strange shapes, doubling, or anything that looks different from a normal dime. Using a magnifying glass can reveal details that are not visible to the naked eye. Many valuable errors are very small and easy to miss without close inspection. If something truly looks unusual, the next step is to have the coin checked by an expert or a professional grading service. They can confirm whether it is a real error or just normal wear and tear. It's also important not to clean your coin. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce its value significantly. Collectors prefer coins in their original, untouched condition. The idea of hidden wealth in everyday coins is powerful. It captures imagination and gives hope that something ordinary could turn into something extraordinary. But real value comes from rarity, condition, and verified errors, not myths. In history, some coins have indeed sold for huge amounts, but those are extremely rare cases involving unique mistakes or limited mintages. The 1983 dime in general circulation does not fall into that category. Still, your coin is a piece of history. It has passed through many hands, traveled across places, and survived decades. That alone gives it a story and a certain kind of value beyond money. If you enjoy collecting, keep your 1983 dime as part of a growing collection. Over time, you'll learn more, spot differences more easily, and maybe one day find a truly rare piece. So while your 1983 Roosevelt dime with a copper edge and worn condition is not a hidden $1 million treasure, it is still a fascinating object. And who knows, the next coin you check might be the one that surprises you. The real power is not in the coin itself, but in the knowledge you gain while searching.